Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Andy Iskoe with us today. We do first class, second class, no class today. And it's a bright, sunshiny, hot day here in Mid-City. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
You know, yesterday, last night, we got I haven't seen every preseason game, Max. I think you've been peppering the sheet pretty good here in the preseason. Just kind of watching for the most part with interest, but entertaining football last night between the Bengals and the Commanders. Which
points.
Well, the mere fact that Joe Burrow and Jayden Daniels were both going to start this game, and they were both supposed to play a little bit, made it interesting, made it compelling watch, see what kind of progress these teams have made. Both of them have Super Bowl aspirations, how legit they are or not, and they put on a show for Burrow about a quarter, and for Daniels one drive. So the plays surprised everybody, the amount of contact that these two were willing to absorb. So once you got past that, and if you're a Bengals fan, got your heart out of your throat when Burrow's running around like he's Fran Tarkenton back there trying to make a play when there's ample evidence to suggest that you should just go down. It's a preseason game. Even Joe Buck said it on the broadcast, like, Joe, it's a preseason game. Go down. Or Jayden Daniels sneaking into the end zone when I think everybody, the defender included, expected him to slide. And then you had the two coaches. Dan Quinn on one side said, okay, I told you to, go out there and do your best. You did for one drive. You almost took a hit. You're out. You're going to sit the rest of the game. And Zach Taylor let Joe Burrow go out there for another couple of series. And, of course, he looked great. The second touchdown pass that he threw was a thing of beauty. I mean, if you watch the end zone view of that, how he fit that ball in where he did was really terrific. And then the other story I thought of the game last night was Mitchell Tinsley, who I vaguely remembered from his time at Penn State. I had to go look him up to see what he had done last year, which was he was basically on Washington's roster, but he was only, I think, active for 2 games and didn't catch a pass. He looked like Chris Carter out there last night, contorting his body, really, really strong hands on both of the touchdowns that he caught. I came away from it thinking, man, the Bengals should have put this guy in as a number 2 receiver and taken T. Higgins' money and put it on defense, because their defense was every bit as porous as I remember. And Daniels didn't even throw a pass in last night's game. It was straight run it right at you. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who is a back they like an awful lot and why they're willing to part ways with Brian Robinson, showed some burst, as did Chris Rodriguez. So it was entertaining. There was a bunch of points in the first half. The second half, everything kind of slowed down with stuff. But it's the closest thing to like, wow, okay, this was just fun to watch. At least I thought it was for a while last night.
Sure. You learn who Tinsley and Krosky-Merritt are. Krosky-Merritt's actually going to have a role, I think, on that Washington team because of them moving Robinson. That seems like an open secret at this point. Schefter basically said it was going to happen. So Tinsley was somebody who was, I think, going to struggle to make the roster. But after last night, I think he's going to get a roster spot.
Well, he's one of those guys that is apparently from they did a post game. No, they did an in game with Joe Burrow. They did a post game with Jamar Chase. They did a halftime with Zach Taylor. They all said the same thing. The guy's having a phenomenal camp, which we wouldn't know. I mean, if we were not following the Bengals that closely, they said that he's been ready to go. Obviously, they didn't think that in the offseason. They might have been a little bit more willing to let Higgins walk and put that money. Probably not, because Burrow said he wanted Higgins.
He's still going to be like a fourth receiver.
He said that was what he wanted, and what Joe wants, Joe gets. Still a little shaky on that offensive line, and the defensive run support is not there, and that's not necessarily something that Trey Hendrickson, who they also talked to yesterday, is going to help with. He's a pass rusher, and they need him, and he says they're getting closer, but they're still hung up on the guaranteed money. But Cincinnati's going to have to score a bunch of points to win games if that first-team defense last night is any indication.
They popped the graphic up in the first half of this game. Bengals' worst pass block win rate in the league last year. It's pretty amazing that Joe Burrow was able to put up the numbers he did with essentially the worst pass blocking offensive line in the NFL, and he's going to probably have to do it again because it doesn't look like they've shored that up at all.
This is a case where they have tried. Okay, it's not like they haven't made moves. They just haven't brought in the guys that they brought in haven't played. They spent a bunch of money on Orlando Brown. Looked like a good sign at the time. Has kind of underachieves. They used a first-round pick on Morris Mims out of Georgia. I mean, the guy was a standout offensive lineman at Georgia. You would think that would work. He's been sort of underwhelming. The rest of the free agent picks that they've made have been somewhat underwhelming. So, he's going to have to, whatever it is, get the ball out of your hands quick, absorb some punishment. They ran one max protect last night where he actually had a little bit of time to throw the football. But, kind of like the Saints, for the investment that they've made in those offensive linemen, it hadn't exactly paid off, at least not from what we saw last night.
Joe Burrow's got to grow up, man. I mean, what is the deal? I mean, what is that? Well,
I'd have taken him out of the game.
Taylor's got to be a coach.
Yeah.
He pulls that crap, pull him out. I mean, you're not gonna protect yourself. You need somebody too. It's obviously he won't.
And he did it twice too. The one where he went back 17 yards, but he did it again, and it's like, Joe, knock it off, okay?
Yeah. They got a horse collar. Why is a horse collar a penalty? Because it kind of injures people. Mm-hmm. What are you doing to try and win a preseason game against Washington?
It's like almost like what are you trying to prove? You're the starting quarterback.
The more exciting, the more entertaining a preseason game. It means that you're probably doing the wrong things. If you have any type of contention, if you want the Saints and their third string to have a entertaining preseason game, you live with that. No, teams that are in contention with guys who, one receiver won the Triple Crown, the other one won the passing title last year. They're trying to get it done, but you can't. It's also poorly constructed, and Joe Burrow needs to kind of calm down as a general manager as well. All right, yeah, he wants to get his money. Got it. He wants Jamar Chase to get his money. Got it. He wants Higgins to get his money. Got it. Well, you can't pay everybody. And they got a lot of spots on that defense where they could use some money. A lot. It's a flag football team. I mean, name your Big 12 school back in the day Texas Tech. I mean, they can't stop anybody. They're 3 offensive linemen sitting for Washington. And those guys were blowing holes like, one-hand touch, they're not getting down.
You're right.
Untouched.
You're right. That's not even Washington's starting offensive line.
Untouched. I mean, this is going to be, you have to be absolutely perfect. And it's just not, pick your old team. Marino with the Dolphins, when they had no defense, and he was setting all kinds of records. Chargers, mostly. for the with Dan Cornell and Dan Fouts. I mean, all offense and no defense. Not going to win.
It's very difficult. You can win games, but not championships.
Early Broncos with Elway?
The thing with Elway's early years was there was just no running game to help him. Back at a time where you really needed a running game in the NFL, where they were not going to throw the ball as much as they did. The defense wasn't great, but I don't remember it being terrible. I could be misremembering. But what I remember was, and they tried. They brought in guys. I remember when they drafted Bobby Humphrey, when they got Bobby Humphrey in Miami, and they thought, Bobby Humphrey had been a great college running back. Oh, well, that's going to fix it. And I'm trying to remember who Denver had made one. I think Sammy
gave up 35 points one quarter against the Redskins.
Oh, in the Super Bowl, no, they were defenseless back there. Steve Atwater was on that team, but no, they were not. They were not the best defensive team, but compared to this, there were 78 Steelers. I mean, they were pretty rough, man. They were pretty rough, but.
It's the worst defense in the league last year. What have they done to improve it? Stewart, they drafted, invested a first-round pick.
Shamar Stewart
and a defensive player.
Yeah, they took a linebacker from South Carolina in the second round, who's probably going to play a good bit for them, but. The biggest defensive guy that they got, and again, this is going to be minimal in run support, but as a pass rusher, Hendrickson
what is he doing?
Is coming off of 35 sacks the last 2 years.
Okay, so he wants to try and extend a third down play and try and make something out of nothing. At what risk?
Huge risk.
What do you get?
Huge
what do you
risk.
get out of that?
Yeah, what if you make the play?
Yeah,
Who
great.
cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
This is. To go up there and throw these quick where you're not going to hit, these no protection sort of underneath things, which they did a lot of. But this is, how many times, and then he's going to say, I've never felt better. Well, keep it that way.
Right. It's the first time you come in.
This is so dumb, man.
If I was surprised Taylor sent him back out there for the third series. It's like, get him out.
Consider the source.
Yeah.
He's done some dumb things.
Look, Jayden Daniels.
Burrow's got to grow up, man.
Jayden Daniels is going in, and Max asked me when we got here, do you think that the defensive back let up on him? Yeah, because the defensive back probably figured that Daniels was going to slide right around the 5-yard line, maybe a little bit inside the 5. And he doesn't want to take a chance of getting a penalty. And, okay, well, that's probably the play. Daniels makes a move, and he gets into the end zone. He took a little bump, but nothing bad, but that was it.
Could have taken more.
Could have.
Okay.
And, lucky. No, he should have got down too. So Dan Quinn, veteran coach, you're out. Okay, and they interviewed Daniels on the sideline, and he's having a ball because that's who he is. It's like, I wanted to play a little bit long. No, you're out. I'm sorry. I understand you still want to pitch, but no, not tonight. We got games that count in a couple of weeks. So
it was entertaining first half, right?
Yeah,
for a preseason game, that's a problem.
Problem for the quarterbacks.
The problem for the best interest of those teams.
Well,
Daniel's got to get down.
Daniel's
going to need to play.
Daniel's got to get down, and they need to get down. Now,
Burrow's not going to get down. Daniels isn't going to get down.
Well, and one coach got him out of the game, the other one didn't.
So quit playing him.
On the other hand, you look at a guy like Mitchell Tinsley, who like I said, vaguely remember from his time at Penn State, as a standout first half. You look at him, and it's like, wow. This guy made 2 phenomenal touchdown catches, and he caught 5 balls. Well, okay, I want to see him. I want to see stuff like that. I like the Lane kid from Washington, the kid out of Virginia Tech. He looks like he can help them, especially since they're offensive skill position guys. Right this second. Robinson's on his way out the door, and McLaurin's contract is still up in dispute. I thought that was interesting. Krosky Merritt, who another guy I'm not familiar with. Important for him, but not for those 2 quarterbacks, no.
Sam Hartman doesn't look like an NFL quarterback.
Who does? No.
Wake Forest.
No, Notre Dame, no.
Player that went to Notre Dame.
No, not at all. He is there to play next week. when you don't want either your starter. Actually, Josh Johnson can do that because their backup quarterback's Marcus Mariota, and I don't think he even dressed last night.
Josh Johnson is fine.
Yeah, Josh Johnson can quarterback your third preseason game, and Hartman will get cut or put on a practice squad or whatever, and they're fine. And Cincinnati's going to keep Desmond Ridder around for one more week, probably the quarterback next week's game, and Jake Browning, who actually is not bad. As a backup quarterback.
He throws the ball well.
He's fine.
He throws the ball well. He threw the ball well when he played in relief. He's a quality backup.
They're only planning to keep 2. If they ever get short of one, Cleveland can loan them one for a week, I guess. But they'll keep Desmond Ridder around next week. Max, you get one more week to root, and then they'll probably cut him.
That's
not sure where he's.
But hey, Trey Lance, he won the job at the Chargers, so I'm happy.
He's excited.
Backup job.
We're here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Come on by and see us for lunch. We're in the Crown Town room. And, they're known for their steaks, but they do a great lunch menu as well. Number of things that you might not be thinking of, like the meatball po' boy, which is just fantastic here. This is some of the best salads. I love the shrimp salad here. I love the way they marinate the shrimp for the shrimp salad. You can get spaghetti here. Huge portions with chicken fried steak. And, of course, if you come in here at night, you're going to get a quality steak, a huge portion, and you're going to enjoy the service here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City.
Yep, come on by and check us out, man. Got a lot of menu items that aren't here available for dinner, but they are available for lunch, like spaghetti and meatballs, catfish plate, the chicken fried steak. You can build your burger, chicken sandwich, fried, grilled, blackened, however you want it, that Nashville hot. And so a lot of really good items that aren't available for dinner that are available for lunch.
Live at Doe's Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place. We're also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike. Let Coastal Capital Advisors work with you the way they've worked with me and our family, your business partners, your legal team, and tax professionals to make sure all your retirement goals are in line. They'll make a lifetime relationship with you, no matter what your age or your income level, a plan that is perfect for you. Contact Phil Fontenot and his staff at coastalcapitaladv.com. Coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA, SIPC. Colts have got a quarterback. They decided on Daniel Jones. How did you feel about that? I got a few of these. One for the Colts. If you're picking Daniel Jones at that point, that's trouble, because you gave Anthony Richardson every opportunity to win the starting job, and he didn't get there. So now, if you have to take Daniel Jones out because he's just okay, where's Anthony Richardson at in your pecking order? I mean, if you can't put him out there for the first game, that would worry me a little bit if I was a Colts fan.
Well, the first game he was going to get a quarter and a half. He got sacked and hurt his finger, and so it kind of flipped the rotation right there, and they didn't flip it back the second game. So it was supposed to be a quarter and a half of reps, half a quarter rep for Jones, Richardson, then Jones. But when he got hurt, Jones got a quarter and a half of reps. And they came back and they started Jones in the second one. So kind of, he's got a total 1 quarter to get it done. I don't know. Not sure about that.
You wouldn't the preseason games obviously mean a lot for those guys in a quarterback competition, but the practices mean you got so many more of them. You got so much more of a sample size of what you're seeing in practice.
You can't hit the quarterbacks in practice.
That's true, but you can script what they see. You can at least get an idea on reads and throws that they can make.
But if you getting hit, not knowing you don't have to get hit, it's a pretty big deal.
I don't disagree. And if you can't do it when they're not hitting you, then you really got to worry about what they would do when they are hitting you. I would be disappointed if I was a Colts fan today that you're kind of going with, all right, this will win us a few more games this year, but is it? We still don't know about Anthony Richardson. I mean, we think we know, but they're still holding out hope. They invested that draft choice in him. They wanted him to get there.
When he's in year, I mean, what is it? I mean, how many games did he play in the rookie year after he got hurt?
4. I
think 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And how many did he play last year? Because Flacco was playing, and he's got about 12 starts.
I think
2 years.
I think he played 10 games last year, and he didn't
started 15 games in 2 years.
So 15
started 11 last year.
Yeah.
So he's about basically 1 year. He skipped a year, and he's not getting a whole lot of work in the preseason this year. So the one thing he needs to get out there and play, it's not getting done. So
I agree. The other position thing here, if I can, it's kind of segue here. It's a little bit of an awkward segue, but back to the college game. Something we mentioned on the show yesterday was that Carius Kern was working with LSU's first team offense in what was a light practice yesterday, not a padded practice at right tackle. The first time that they have seen him, and not Weston Davis at the right tackle. Also, Paul Mubenga was in with the ones at left guard in place of DJ Chester. I'll tell you what I think, and then I'll tell you what the other possibility is. What I think is happening here is Carius Kern, a true freshman, has emerged as at least the number 3 tackle and a possibility at guard if they were to ever need him there, and a significant upgrade over any other tackle that's not the first 2. And so getting him a look, just to give him some reps over at the right tackle as you're now into Clemson prep, is not a big deal. Mubenga taking snaps at the first team left guard is not a big deal at all because, well, even though Chester's been out there with the ones, Mubenga started the last 5 games of last year. He's been in a competition. I think both guards' positions are still going to be in flux into the regular season. Thompson's nailed down the right side to start, but I wouldn't rule out Cohen Eccles later in the season. I think Mubenga and Chester are both going to see some time at the left guard. And if any of that fails on a big level, I think that Kern could play some guard because he played some guard earlier in camp. Not a lot, but a little bit. You don't want to overwhelm the freshman. It's enough to ask a freshman offensive lineman to learn one position. So I think they just stuck him in for some time there. Now, that's what I think happened. Brian Kelly didn't address this yesterday. He didn't do an immediate thing yesterday. If that's what's happening, that's great. Okay? Get everybody a look. This is all in the context of preparing for the most eventualities once you get to the regular season. If that's what happened, great. Now, if they got out of that scrimmage on Saturday and decided we don't like what we saw from the first 5 guys that have taken the majority of the first team reps together, so we need to change it less than 2 weeks to the opener, that's a problem. That would worry me. So Kelly hasn't addressed it yet, but I think it's the first thing. I don't think it's the second thing. I think if it was the second thing where they looked at the first 5 and like, yeah, that ain't the 5 we want, I think they would have. They have had ample opportunity, multiple scrimmages, 3 weeks of practice. I don't think they would have waited until the last scrimmage and put in a lineup that has not been out there because that's what they want to go out with the first group next week against Clemson. That's my thought. This, to me, is preparing for other eventualities. I mean, Weston Davis, by all accounts, has had a good camp. But what if he goes out there and turns a knee in the first, God forbid? I mean, hell, 3 years ago, Mason Smith played all of 1 quarter, jumped up celebrating a play, came down and was out for the season. That could happen. Okay, you don't want it to happen, but you have to prepare for that. So that's what I think happened yesterday at LSU. Kelly will have a clarification later on, but that's what I think happened yesterday.
Great.
Okay.
That's good. That's reassuring.
That's
first time we've seen Kern at right tackle, first team. So
yeah, and we don't see every minute of every practice. They've had a number of practices behind closed doors. So for all we know, he's done this 2 or 3 other times. I think it's just it's covering all your bases. And I do think that offensive line is going to have multiple guys outside of starting lineup play. And there's going to be competition before they really settle it in. I said they asked us for a bold prediction for the website, and I said, this isn't all that bold, but I think the starting lineup in Game 1 and the starting lineup in Game 4 could very easily be different. And not because somebody got hurt, but because they're still waiting for this competition to play itself out. Kern's a freshman. What happens when they didn't put Emory Jones in the starting lineup his first game either. So what happens when he's got another month's worth of practices at the end of September? He might look like the best lineman out there. Who knows? That's what I think. That's what I think happened yesterday.
What games is the line going to get set?
I would think by the time they get to South Carolina, which is the 5th game, but it includes 2 rental wins.
6th game after a bye. Ole Miss is the 5th game.
I'm sorry, Ole Miss. I got it mixed up. Yeah. Ole Miss, the 5th game. That's 2 big games and 2 rental wins. I expect it to be stabilized by Game 5. It's Ole Miss in South Carolina. I had that mixed up in my head. That's what I think. But whatever you got in the Ole Miss game, that's what they've decided is the best.
And first game, it's the most suspect unit. There's no doubt.
And maybe they got it right.
That's the unit you're worried about the most.
Yeah, maybe they got it right. Maybe those 5 are the best 5, and they'll play great in September. And when you get to Ole Miss, it'll be like, oh, these are the 5. We got it right. But Kern's coming. He's going to be good.
It's biggest concern against Clemson in that first game. Takes time for lines to gel.
Mm-hmm.
It always does, not just a new one, but it's where Clemson has a big jump. They've got so much starts under their belt with their offensive line, coming in to start. So one of the big matchup advantages for Clemson. Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive on Segan Lane across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery. That engine light comes on, you don't know what's going on, man. Just go bring it to our friend at Jason Payne at K&M Automotive. It's open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Belts, hoses, general services, undercar services, electronic, AC repair, transmission services, electrical, or, again, if that check engine light comes on, you got to bring it in. He's going to be busy because he does things the right way, does not upcharge for unnecessary work. He does his best to find a repair option before a replace option, to just anything to try and save you money. It's 8445 Segan Lane near Perkins, across from Ambrosia Bakery, K&M Automotive.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Andy, what's going on, buddy?
Well, getting set for the arrival of the Baton Rouge contingent here in Vegas, and getting set for the first mini weekend of college football, and, of course, doing a lot of work on the NFL, which just has that one preseason game remaining for the teams. And I get a lot of work done between the end of the preseason and the start of the regular season, especially when it comes to finalizing my thoughts and confidence levels on season win totals, as most of the injuries that will have occurred prior to the start of the season will likely have occurred by the end of Saturday, which is the final day of preseason football.
The 2 teams that you saw last night, do you have to wait until you see if Hendrickson is going to be signed by the Bengals, if McLaren is going to be signed by the Commanders?
I think it's more likely McLaren will be signed by the Commanders. It's a little bit more iffy, especially since Cincinnati is shopping around Hendrickson. And I would imagine there will be some takers. Even a team like New England has been thrown about as a possible landing spot for Hendrickson. So I expect that McLaren will come to terms with Washington before the start of the season. It may not be the start of this preseason game unless they want to give him a little work. And I imagine the same thing with Micah Parsons. Although Micah Parsons might not be signed until, let's say, after the opening week, so that Jerry Jones can get all the headlines more that Micah Parsons signed, as opposed to reflecting on week 1. So it's not been unusual for him to do that before, and I would imagine that that's probably been a plan all along.
You've broken down the Iowa State-Kansas State game, the highlight game of week 0.
I've not really been able to find much of an advantage either way. I like both teams. Iowa State has been very, very consistent. Kansas State has been one of the better teams in the Big 12 over the last few years, especially when you throw out Oklahoma and Texas, who are no longer part of that conference. Normally in situations like that, I would look to take points, but I haven't done anything with that one. The one game that I am taking a look at is the game between Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. Both of these teams are in a major rebuild as far as what they have coming back from last year. I think Sam Houston in a little bit better situation as far as what they return, especially on offense. Defense is not very good, but that seems to be a weakness for Western Kentucky's returning production as well. You do have Phil Longo, the new coach at Sam Houston, and this is actually a double revenge game for the Bearcats. By the way, that's Bearcats with a K for Sam Houston. As 2 years ago in Sam Houston's first season in the FBS level, they hosted. They were at Western Kentucky and lost, I think, by 5. Last year they hosted them, and they lost outright. I think 31-14. So getting a lot of points. I think the line is about 10 points. I think in that game, and I'd be inclined to play Sam Houston plus the points if I did anything. Don't really have much of an interest in the other games. I kind of lean towards Hawaii. I also like Fresno State, and I like the direction they're going in. They've been a very competitive team in the Mountain West Conference, and Kansas. Kansas is interesting because I remember when they got Leipold from I think it was Buffalo. He came in with a lot of fanfare and took over a team that I think had one win. Had some early success, but it seems to have plateaued over the last few years for the Jayhawks. It seems to be a spot that Kansas will win, but I like a lot what I've seen out of Fresno State. I probably won't play the game, but that could change between now and game day, but I'd be looking to take rather than lay.
Boise State goes across the from coast to coast to take on South Florida. A long game. That game has come down some. Some people looking at maybe some travel mileage in that one. Ohio, out of the MAC, goes to Rutgers to take on the Scarlet Knights. Stanford and Hawaii, that game is flipped. Stanford was the early favorite. Hawaii is now the favorite. Paul Stone has Stanford as his worst team of the Power 4 teams this year. Fresno State, what kind of team are they going to have this year, Andy, as they go to Kansas? Jalen Daniels in their new stadium. They kind of got some got a little enthusiasm. Got some money coming in, $300 million, strictly to football. They got some a little energy behind the Kansas football program right now.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I was just saying a few minutes ago. So, Leipold came in from Buffalo a number of years ago and took over a team that was not very good and had built them up. In fact, they were 6-7, 9-4, and then they dropped to 5-7. So it seems like it's plateaued a little bit. I like Fresno State. It's been a solid program. Usually one of the better programs in the MAC Mountain West Conference with an occasional down year. They've got a new coach taking over for Jeff Tedford, who finally had to step away. And they've usually been a very solid program, as I say. They do have a lot of rebuilding to do, but that's a big number for Kansas to be laying because I'm not quite sold that this Kansas program deserves to be a 2-touchdown favorite. I think that they have stagnated in recent years. So won't play the game, but if I did play it, I'd be taking it rather than laying it.
All right, anything in baseball, man? We hit them pretty good last night in the bases, so not bad. But Waka continues to roll. I mean, the one was surprising that Yuri Perez got pounded as much as he did. Some sloppy baseball for Miami in the field after they built their 2-0 run lead against St. Louis. And how about Colorado coming back and walking it off against the Dodgers? And San Diego can't make up any ground because they fell behind 4-0. Another shaky start. And then Nestor Cortez it's been that first inning. It has been rough every outing. And then he settles down, but it was too little too late with the 4-3 loss last night at home to San Francisco.
Yeah, the one game that caught my eye early because these two pitchers have been in really good form lately, and that's Lopez of the Athletics and Ryan of Minnesota. I actually see that this total has been bet up at a number of places from 8 over to 8.5 and still big on the over. So they're expecting a high-scoring game. Haven't seen what the first 5 inning line is. So I'm going to do that now, but I would imagine it's probably 4, maybe even 4.5. And I'm saying basically 4s right now. I might split the play for under for the first 5 and under for the full game, half unit on each, because both of these pitchers are in very good form right now.
Max, do we have the final tally in week 2 as far as the totals are concerned? It seems like these things last night's went over.
I think it was 9-7 over.
9-7 over. So
yeah, the unders did make a bit of a comeback, but not big enough.
5, 6, 7, 8. You are correct. 9-7. 9-7 to the over, and those are the adjusted lines as well. So as long as Joe Burrow is playing in the game, man, bet the over. Bet the over first half. I mean, they score and they cannot stop anybody. When it's just and you see that why.
It's been well documented, the poor starts that the Bengals have had the last 3 or 4 years. You really have to wonder. You got to believe Taylor, the coach, is on the hot seat this year. Not so much for the entire season, but especially the first month, because that first month is critical as far as putting teams in a hole. I mean, the Rams were a team last year that struggled early with some injuries and were able to overcome a slow start. But they had a much better roster than the Bengals do when you look at the Bengals defense. Nobody has a better offense than the Bengals right now with Burrow and Chase, etc. But that defense, and I've said it before, I know I've said it here before, that Joe Burrow is the reincarnation of Dan Fouts.
He's what?
Dan Fouts.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yeah.
The reincarnation of Dan Fouts, a great offensive Hall of Fame quarterback, but never supported. They put up 35 and give up 38 on a regular basis.
Maybe Dan Marino at Miami too.
I think Marino had some better defenses there. They just never got it all together at the same time. But I would say that Air Coryell was that was just again they scored so quickly on offense that it does put pressure on the defense. I think.
What about Drew
the same thing with Cincinnati?
Absolutely.
2012 to 2016.
Yeah, some of those Saints teams for sure. The first one they had, the first Breeze, 06. I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed, but they made it all the way to the conference championship. So, yeah.
That one Chargers team had a good run defense. That 81 team was the one that was supposed to win it and looked like the better team than the Raiders.
Got the number 1 seed, lost at home to the Raiders.
Yeah. To Jim Plunkett and the Raiders. They had a very good run defense. They couldn't stop the pass at all. The Raiders just went all up and down the field, throwing the football against them.
Beat them twice during the regular season.
Yeah.
And lost when it counted. And as a pretty about 5 or 6 point favorite in that game. But yeah, to San Diego, that was a big upset. That was the one. Now when they went to Cincinnati to try to play the AFC Championship game after the double overtime game in Miami.
I think wasn't that like Ice Bowl 2 or something? Like
minus 27, I think. Minus 27 degrees or something.
14-0 game. So
yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah, but no, we mentioned Dan Fouts is one of these. I just don't see how a team that you got to try and improve your weaknesses, and that makes you. That'll make the team a lot better and put so much. I mean, Burrow's got no room for error.
What did he have? None. He had 17.5 sacks, I believe, each of the last 2 years. You don't find many teams who have a player who has had that many throughout the course of a career in one season. And it sends a really bad message, I think, through the locker room that, you're not supposed to renegotiate contracts or extend, et cetera, but that's modern football right now, and you want to win today. And the Bengals are set with a decent defense. This team is poised to win, and yet they always come up short. Yeah, they made it to that one Super Bowl a few years ago, but that's beginning to look more like an outlier than the start of, a continuous playoff run for that team.
They don't look like a playoff team to me. I mean, a Super Bowl team to me. Yeah, they could make the playoffs. Probably will. But they're extremely limited. And Hendrickson's going to help, but how much can he help? I mean, oof.
Yeah, they did very little to address those needs in the off season, which is also surprising.
And you got the 3 big holdouts: Parsons, McLaurin, and Hendrickson. Yeah, they're all veterans. They all know how to play. But, man, when you stick guys into a week one situation with little or no training camp, I know they're working out. I know they're in shape. But are they in football shape? The injuries that usually come along with those long holdouts would scare me an awful lot if I was those teams.
Andy, we're looking forward to seeing you this week at the Circa Football Contest Radio Row. So we're ready and coming up to share your information again for people who need a proxy to submit their picks during the course of the season for the Las Vegas Football Contest.
Yeah, best way is either by email, VegasAndy711 at cox.net. Or you can give me a text at 702-898-9802. Time is running out to make arrangements and all that, and I know that I'll be seeing you, Jimmy, and whoever is with you, 11:30 Friday morning, and I'll be looking for you in the sportsbook.
Yes, indeed. All right, brother. Yeah, we're looking forward to you. Thank you, Andy.
Have a safe trip out, guys. Take care.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Relief Windows. Relief Windows for windows, doors, siding, and shutters. What kind of shutters do we have? Interior shutters, exterior shutters. You can view all of our shutters online at reliefwindows.com. Durable power, aluminum powdered coated shutters. Enhance your home's exterior with premium shutters designed for both beauty and durability. Our exterior shutters provide a classic, sophisticated look while offering powerful protection against storm and harsh weather. So you got to check those out as well. So you can at Relief Windows, we offer shutters to design to enhance your home style and functionality. Whether you're looking at elegance inside or protect your home with durable exterior hurricane shutters, we have the perfect solution for you. Interior or exterior shutters, call about our shutters at Relief Windows. That's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Return here at Doe's Eat Place. A couple of quarterback battles have been settled. Notre Dame going to go with the redshirt freshman C.J. Carr. He had an elbow injury last year, so this will be his first action. It's a hell of a he beat out Kenny Minchie, who played just sparingly last year. It's a hell of a thing for a freshman quarterback to go get his first two games at Miami and then home against Texas A&M. I know the Notre Dame schedule lightens up after that, but that's a lot to ask a freshman in his first outing to go to Miami and then play Texas A&M, two top 20 teams in the preseason.
Got a good running game. Running game will help out a quarterback a lot. But yeah, this is the teeth of their schedule by far is right out the chute. Just a 2.5-point favorite down in Miami, a 7-point favorite at home against A&M.
They're a road favorite against Miami. Mm-hmm. Okay, because that's close. I would. Not a true freshman, but a freshman. His first road start, first start period is at Miami, and the home team's catching points. Okay, I think I sense an early.
Miami's not the worst road environment.
Yeah,
no, it's
how
not.
How many you think? What percentage of stands will be Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, 25%
at least.
Yeah. Still I'll take the points in the home team against a freshman, but we'll see. BYU's also named a starting quarterback, Max.
Yeah, of course they had to replace Jake Retzlaff after suspending him, and he left for Tulane. So they're going with a true freshman. This is Bear Bachmeier, who actually has a brother there as a wide receiver, Tiger Bachmeier, also the younger brother of former quarterback Hank Bachmeier, who spent some time at Boise and La Tech, among other schools, I believe.
Oh, by the way, Carr is did you say the nephew of Lloyd Carr?
A grandson.
Grandson of Lloyd Carr, the former Michigan coach. Hour number 2 straight ahead here. We'll do first class, second class, no class when we return. It was overstocked this week with no class. We'll do that when we come back. Those Eat Plays live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch First Class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second Class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And No Class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class. I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First Class, Second Class, and No Class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And return here at Goes East Place. LSU is just off the practice field. Brian Kelly is meeting with the media right now, so we have an update on that a little bit later on as soon as he finishes up. They're just off the practice field. So, First Class. I got an LSU First Class. Man, you like to see, when you come in to a new team, you want to fit in, you want to make an impact in a positive way. Go look at what Tamarcus Cooley has done, the transfer safety from NC State. Came in here, had a terrific year at NC State last year, came in here at a position of need, immediately seized a starting position, has had an excellent camp, never been taken over at any point. I think he's going to be a major upgrade for LSU back there. All of that's good. And then one day, last week, Tamarcus Cooley saw a young lady on the side of the road with a flat tire. This young lady had 3 kids, all under the age of 6, and she was in a bind. Tamarcus Cooley, who did not know this woman, had no idea who she was, decided to pull over, and there wasn't a lot of room on the side of the road, but he helped her change the tire and keep her 3 kids, like I said, all under the age of 6. And she went public. He didn't post anything about it. He didn't say anything publicly about it. He didn't say anything. But the lady felt compelled to post a story because she wanted to recognize his goodwill. And so she posted the thing on Facebook. Turns out her and her husband have met him now. She's talked to his mother, and they've all become friends. And the family's going to go to a game. It wasn't clear if they were big LSU fans or not, if they even knew who he was when he stopped. That's just good stuff, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I mean, you stop to help somebody you don't even know. You ain't from here. You just got here. You haven't even lived here a year, and you stop to help a lady in distress fix a flat tire. Lord knows Tamarcus Cooley's got a lot going on, man. It's a pretty demanding month to be an LSU football player, and he stopped. So good on him, man. I love stories like that. I could do stories like that all day. So. First Class to Tamarcus Cooley. Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice job. Second Class. Good with a chance to be great, or I'm curious your opinion, Jimmy, on this. Ed Orgeron this week has suggested that he might be ready for a return to coaching next year. He's been out for 4 years now. He will turn he's 64 years old, and he says that he has an itch to return to coaching. His sons, who are both in coaching, they're both on the Miami staff as analysts, are set, and he says he's ready to return to coaching. So he didn't elaborate. He wasn't specific, but this brings up all kind of questions for me. When he says return to coaching, what does that mean? Would he only return as a head coach? Would he only return as – he was never a coordinator, but doesn't mean he couldn't be. Would he only return at a big school? Would he be, open to coaching at a smaller school? Does he want to coach in, this part of the country because, his kids are down in Miami? It brings up a whole bunch of things, but Ed Orgeron's return to coaching, Jimmy, what comes to mind when you hear that if he decided he wanted to get back in next year?
I mean, he wants the best available. I can tell you that.
Sure.
I think his little split up cost him a little money. Like to get some of that back. So whatever's paying the highest. College defensive line coach, recruiting coordinator at the biggest schools. It's more of a fundraiser.
Yeah,
an organizational thing. You're going to give him a head job. I mean, he would That would probably be a group of 5.
Yeah.
I don't think he would land at Kansas. I just don't think so.
No, I don't either. I think if he wanted to be a head coach, it would have to be at the group of 5 level. I don't think there's a Power 4 head coaching job in the offing for him.
He's got to go back and prove himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he has 2 winning years there. Somebody will, like anything else.
I think Orgeron would be an outstanding defensive line coach. He always was. But make no mistake, Ed Orgeron's number one attribute as a college coach was as a recruiter. And I wonder if that's not stunted a little bit now because recruiting is more about money than it is about relationships. You can argue that point, but I'll stand firm on that. Recruiting in 2025 is more about money than relationships.
His impact on the recruiting would not be the same, but it's still important.
I agree. It just, like I said, stunted a little bit, not erased, but less than what it was. And I think Orgeron would probably be an enthusiastic fundraiser if you put him in the right situation, the right part of the country. I'm with you. I don't see him taking a job at, I don't know, a group of 5, a Utah State or, a Fresno State or something like that. Maybe, but
let's talk about Lamar Brown, like a guy like that.
Yeah.
Okay, he had a better relationship with LSU, but the money was much greater at A&M. So he was going to go to A&M if LSU couldn't get close. So it's a balance. They got close, and there it is. He's at LSU, or he's committed to LSU.
But even as a defensive line coach, if you think his recruiting is less important now by a bigger stretch than we do, as a defensive line coach, he was always very good. I mean, he was good at Miami. He worked with some big talent.
He can have just about any defensive line coaching job in the country at both levels, college or pro.
Yeah, I
right
agree.
Now.
Because he was always – those were always high level. Now, he coached some real talent, but he always was a very, very good defensive line coach.
He's always studied sort of the new technique and kind of, how to shed and things like that and scrape, just different, kind of training to try and build your legs and stuff like that, and trying to the flexibility of your legs. And he's always been on the cutting edge of sort of the developmental part, whether it was training or technique. And he's got the temperament. He's still got a lot of juice in his tank to get after him.
I agree.
And sort of get him to respond. So, no, there would be a number of defensive line coaching available options for him at both levels.
And I wonder, like I said, I wonder what obviously his biggest goal would be to get a top Power 5 job. Again, I don't think that's in the offing, but there's a lot of good opportunities that he would have there. And you're right, I've seen a couple interviews with him. He did something with T-Bob just not even a week ago that I saw. He looks like he has still got all of the energy. He reminds me of a guy he worked for a while, which is Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's energy level into his 70s is still high, and Orgeron's younger than him. He's 664. I think the energy level looks high, at least from what I've seen.
Pete Carroll took over for Paul Hackett. Orgeron was going to coach the Jets, and he had the job, and that's when Hackett said, I need you for 1 year at least. And Carroll told him, said, I know those guys, and we can get that job next year. But we know that he stayed at USC another year. The only assistant on the staff that was retained by Carroll, and the rest is history. So he's he could have that. I don't know what kind of head coaching job he'd be offering.
Yeah, I don't either.
Something.
Well, he spent a lot of time on the West Coast. Is there a job in what will end up being the new Pac-12, which will be the sort of the merger of Washington State, Oregon State, and what's the Mountain West as we know it now?
Yeah, but
is there a job? Maybe.
He has spent almost as much time down the South.
He spent more time in the South, but he's been a lot.
LSU,
How long
Miami.
was he out there at USC? 2 different stints. He was out there for at least 10 years.
He spent a lot. He knows the area.
Yeah.
He knows the area very well. He likes it out there too. But he's been staying around here. I think and that's where his options will not be limited, because he could go out there and work, stay in the South, work. He can go, a lot of different places. So, he's well thought of. But say if a San Diego State kind of on the slides as of late, not what they used to be by any stretch.
I said Fresno State, but I
was talking to him on the phone one time. He's going to see Reggie Bush in San Diego. So I mean, he's got a reach, man. So I'm just wondering, but that's where that kind of job is where I think he would be head coaching job. He'll have his pick. Yeah, his pick is for what kind of defensive line jobs he wants.
Yeah,
I'd consider La Tech. I don't know if he would. La Tech is probably going to be hiring a new coach after this year. Sonny Cumbie's had a rough go of it. He's back this year, but La Tech, I mean,
that's become a tougher job from a financial standpoint. That's been a very good program for a long time.
Maybe he could bring some money in, though.
That was going to be where I was going with it. Would bringing in Ed Ogeron into Louisiana Tech spur? Would it open up the money faucet? Hey, it would be some. Would it be enough? Jimmy, you agree? I mean, we've seen Tech kind of fall on hard times a little bit, and it's in my opinion, it's mostly money related. And could he get that back?
I don't know.
I think it would help. Would it be enough to? It's an interesting thought, though.
It's a possibility.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
For a long time, I thought that he would eventually get that head coaching job in Lafayette. I thought that would be another place. This is before he got to LSU.
He wanted Lafayette. He wanted Tulane.
Yeah, and I think he would have done a good job at either one of them. I think he would have increased the talent level, and I think he would have brought some enthusiasm. Won a championship, who knows? But anyway, Ed Ogeron's return to coaching in second class. I need a little bit more time for no class. There's there were multiple submissions this week. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. We're getting close to football season. It's close to tailgating season. When you're tailgating and you're making jambalayas, you're making red beans, you're making white beans, you're making any gumbos later in the season, make it with Supreme Rice and support our Louisiana farmers. The Parboiled rice is absolutely outstanding restaurant quality. The jasmine rice has always been a favorite at our house, the long grain, the medium grain, the brown. You can pick it up at your AG food stores, your Walmart, your Rouse's. You're going to save some money, and you're going to support our Louisiana farmers. They're part of the Climate Smart program, which is committed to reducing methane emissions and promoting water conservation. Supreme Rice, they've been doing this since the 1930s from down in southwest Louisiana, so they are long time in the business. You're going to be really happy with your product. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. We'll take a break, come back, and finish up this seg with no class. Got some Southeastern Conference stuff in here. Live at Doe's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place. We'll let Jimmy go here. He's feeling a little under the weather at the moment. Max and I are going to take you home, and Max will have Brian Kelly wrapping up with the media right now. So next segment, we will have an update on what he said after practice today. I had to get a whole segment for no class, Max. This was just too easy. I mean, he just kept piling in. I start with Jim Harbaugh. Okay. After the game with the Saints, he was asked about the penalties at Michigan. And he says, I'm not engaging with that. Now, Jim Harbaugh, it's not going to matter to him. He's never going to coach in college again. There was never his intention when he took the Chargers job was to go to the NFL for the rest of his career, and that's fine. That's certainly. But he has what amounts to a 14-year show cause penalty, and that would be the largest that any coach had ever got. I don't think the only basketball coach I can remember was over at Tennessee. He was here for a second. I'm blanking on his name. He got with the academic fraud that he was at Southern Miss. You remember what I'm talking about? He's a basketball coach at Tennessee. He got a 10-year, I think it was. Harbaugh, a 14-year show cause, okay? They can't do anything else to you, Jim. And he didn't even come out at the the penalties that Michigan got were not inconsequential, okay? They weren't as harsh as they could have been, but they were certainly pretty significant from a financial standpoint. There were multiple careers of assistant coaches ended, not just Connor Stallions. And he forced Michigan to deal with this for a couple of years. Now, look, he won a national championship, and that goes a long way. But he didn't even try to defend himself. He didn't even try to defend Michigan. It was basically when he comes out and says, I'm not engaging in that, it's like, I cheated. Deal with it. So that's no – look, Harbaugh, the coach, I have all the respect in the world for him. Guy's been a terrific coach at the college level, been a terrific coach at the NFL level. The Chargers will be better. He can run a football program. He knows the game inside and out. He's a good game day coach. He was a good recruit. No problems there. As a person, Jim Harbaugh is very, very hard to like. When he just comes out and says, hey, there's not even an explanation. There's not even a, well, this has – I'm not engaging. I cheated. We won. Deal with it. That's no class to me.
Donnie Tyndall was
Donnie
the coach
Tyndall. I couldn't come up with his name. He was here for 15 minutes as an assistant coach on one of John Brady's staff. I say 15 minutes. He was here for a couple of years, but then he went to Southern Miss as a head coach there. Some academic fraud, I think, and he got the job at Tennessee. And I think it was a 10-year show cause, or maybe it was 15. It was a long show cause. This one is right there with that. He's the only one I could think of that was any longer.
I would also say a no class here to the NCAA in this situation. I mean, the Committee on Infractions regarding a postseason ban in this case, they declined to have a postseason ban for Michigan because, quote, unfairly penalize student-athletes for the actions of coaches and staff who are no longer associated with the Michigan football program. I wonder if we've heard that before. Has that ever happened to another school where players and coaches who were not involved in a program are getting punished? Akron's getting punished this year. They don't
have
happens
all the time.
Access.
It's the biggest argument against postseason bans, or a long time ago it was television bans. You're punishing the wrong people. But
sure.
who do you punish?
Where's the consistency?
The NCAA. Come on. When has there ever been an opportunity to punish the people that are there? I mean, if the coach is planning on staying there, you can punish him. But if the coach is not planning on staying there, if he's going to the NFL, the NCAA, as usual, has no real teeth in this thing. It just rubbed me the wrong way, the way he came out and said, hey, I cheated, we won, I deal with that. That's what I heard. I don't know what anybody else heard.
I mean, it's a fine for Michigan. I don't know why you wouldn't fight the NCAA on all these things.
They're gonna fight the fine.
I'm saying why every school should ever cooperate with the NCAA and things like this.
So the deal was you were punished more if you didn't cooperate with the investigation. The cover-up was worse than the crime. Ask Bruce Pearl. Okay, so, but you're right. They don't rule with any inconsistency. It's Jerry Tarkanian's famous line. The NCAA was so mad at Kentucky that they stoned Cleveland State into the ground. They'll bully the Akrons of the world. They're not gonna bully Michigan.
Roy Williams, Bill Self.
Yeah, right. And we've talked ad nauseum about the basketball program here and what they use to bully them here. So no, I'm going to move on, but it just bothered the hell out of me. Second one, before I get to the real one today. Last week, the Big Ten is floating this idea of a 24 to 2018 college football playoff. You ever been in one of these meetings? Max, you're in 100 meetings a week, right? You ever get in one of these brainstorming sessions? We do these from time to time. It's like, hey, look, throw out some ideas, and inevitably some manager will say, there are no dumb ideas. I don't know why they say that. There are plenty of dumb ideas. This is a dumb idea, okay? This is one of those, hey, let's just, throw it out there and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happens. This is the worst idea I have heard in a long, long time. The college football season is the best regular season in all of sports. In my opinion, it always has been. I love the NFL. Okay, I don't think any differently of the NFL regular season when they added other teams to the playoffs, but that's the NFL, and this is college. And if you're going to tell me that 28 teams make it and the top 7 teams in every power conference make it, or the seven. No, I'm sorry. In the Big Ten and the SEC, 7 teams make it. Then what does LSU Florida really mean? What does LSU Clemson really mean? I mean, you can water it down, and I think they're going to get to 16, but that's where it should stop. And I don't want to hear about percentages of college teams versus percentage of pro teams to make it. Putting 24 to 28 teams in a college football playoff is an increasingly stupid idea. I don't like to call people. This is a stupid idea. There is no merit to this at all. I don't even care if you make more money off of it. This is the worst idea I have heard in a long time.
It's deeply unserious, I would say. There's no way that this is.
So
what
do you think it was thrown out there in the
Josh
hopes of getting? If I say 20, if I say 28, then when I come back to 16, it doesn't sound so bad.
I'll give him credit. That's basically what he said. We're going to throw out a crazy idea that's so crazy that our other crazy idea will sound less crazy, in comparison.
This is an old politician's trick. You float the idea of an outrageous tax, and then you come back and the actual tax that you put in is significantly less than that. And it's right. Okay, that's fine. Like when they convinced us that $4 a gallon for gas wasn't all that bad of a price. Okay,
I wouldn't expand past 12, but we're going to get to 16.
I think they're going to get to 16, and I can live with 16. I could live with 12. Where they are is fine. I don't really understand going to 14. I'd either keep it at 12 or go to 16. 14. If you're going to go to 14, you just soon go to 16. But I'm not. 24 to 28, no, that's dumb. And if the idea is just to get a reaction like this, then congratulations, it worked. You're an idiot, okay? No, I'm sorry, you're not an idiot. This plan is idiotic and deserves less time than what I've given it here. Now let me get to the Auburn. Oh, Auburn.
What's going on?
This has been a couple of day period for Auburn where you're just like, crazy never takes a day off over there, huh? So the first thing is Auburn is now officially claiming 4 more football national championships than what they have talked about before. Now, never mind that in the past they have claimed the 1983 national championship, which they didn't win, and the 1993 national championship, which they didn't win. The 2010 national championship was legit. That was the Cam Newton year. They won it in 1957 as well. Now they're claiming titles from 1910 and 1914, which I know nothing about. Okay,
sure,
I haven't researched them. Well, I'm going to give you a local tie-in here. For years, when we were doing call-in radio, okay, I would get about one kind. Jimmy too would get a call every so often about why doesn't LSU claim the 1908 national championship. And so eventually I went over there and asked. This is 25 years ago or something like that. And the response I got from the LSU administration was, we didn't necessarily win a national championship. We were undefeated in 1908, but compared to modern-day football, it was a little bit skewed. I'm going to paraphrase what they told me here, and again, this is 3 administrations ago, which was, it's kind of a Bush League move to go back and say, yep, we were the national champions in 1908, when all you've got really is a thing on paper there. It's kind of Bush League to just go back and say, yep, we claim we were the national champions.
What, are they going to raise 4 banners this year,
Probably.
Have a ceremony?
Probably. So you want to claim the things in 1910 and 1914. It feels just as Bush League as it did when we were talking about it for LSU. And, yes, any year you can find any number of organizations that say, we declare a national champion. Okay, Alabama's been doing this for years, okay? I don't know how many it is. Alabama has claimed national championships in seasons where they have lost 3 games and finished out of the top 10 because some organization somewhere declared them national champions, okay? It's like me going to the zoo and saying, hey, now I'm a koala bear, okay? You're making crap up at this point. The 3rd national title, though, that they are now retroactively claiming is going to get a little dander up around here because it's 1958. I don't know a damn thing about 1910. I know nothing about 1914, but I do know a little bit about 1958 because I do know who won the national championship that year, gave him a trophy. I knew, I have met many of the members of that team. A lot of whom have passed on now, including Jimmy's dad, who we just lost this summer, okay? LSU won the national championship in 1958. Take the flipping flag down, okay? You can stop with that right now. 2004 is a little bit of a sticky wicket because I actually do remember what happened that year. USC and Oklahoma started the season 1-2 in the polls, and they never lost. Auburn didn't lose either. I understand why they were steamed that they didn't get a shot. It sparked significant change in college football because Mike Slive, I remember Media Days very well, basically went up and said, this will never happen to us again. And he was right. There weren't going to be any more undefeated SEC teams that were left out of it. Could you imagine something happening to a team in the SEC like what happened to Florida State year before last? I can't.
It wouldn't happen.
If the exact there's no way to prove it, but if the exact same thing that happened to Florida State would have happened to Georgia, Georgia would have been in the playoff. That's just the gravitas that the SEC's got. So you can kick your feet and hold your breath and stomp your feet and wave your hands, but you didn't get a chance to play for it in 2004. I saw all three of those teams play. Personally, I thought USC would have beaten Auburn that year. In fact, bad as they beat Oklahoma, I think USC would have beaten Auburn fairly handily. LSU, who was not very good in 2004, came within an eyelash of beating Auburn, came within a call that was made 2 times in hundreds of football games from LSU beating Auburn at Auburn, okay? I'm not saying Auburn wasn't good. They were very good, but would they have beaten USC that year? I don't think so. No. I think USC would have beaten them pretty handily. So it's kind of a Bush League thing to do, and it's definitely no class. Now get me to the 2025 team and this play calling wheel of fortune that they got going on over there.
Yeah, so they've announced this for a little while now. It's been known that
they're going to play 3 quarterbacks.
Apparently, the 3 quarterbacks is one thing.
Allegedly.
That is something that Hugh Freeze has floated more recently, that they might go with 3 quarterbacks against Baylor. I don't know if it's just a smokescreen, if he's trying to distract the preparation for Baylor, but he's claiming they're going to play 3 quarterbacks despite bringing in Jackson Arnold this offseason. They've also said that their play calling is basically going to include 3 different play callers. The offensive coordinator gets the first downs, Hugh Freeze gets the second downs, and their quarterbacks coach gets the third downs. So, as it's been pointed out online, that means there could be essentially 9 quarterback play caller combinations. And, of course, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, who pointed that out?
And fire emoji next to that. But, I mean, what's going on? Maybe things are going so poorly in Auburn that they just had to throw up these 4 new national titles, and things could go really awry this football season.
Did I say just less than 10 minutes ago that I thought the 2018 playoff was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard for sports? I take it back. This one went right over the top of it. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. I wasn't in the room in 2019 when they decided that Steve Ensminger was going to call most of the plays, but that Joe Brady was going to call some third downs and the red zones. But if I had been in that room and they had asked me, which they didn't and they shouldn't have because I'm not a coach, I would have said, that's a really bad idea. And it worked perfectly, okay? It was a one-year convalescence of everything working. A great quarterback, a great receiving core, and 2 guys who didn't know each other from a hole in the wall before they got here being completely in sync for 15 games, and they were the best team in the country. I would suggest to you that if they had come back and tried to do it that way again the next year, it would not have worked. And there's a reason why you ever see co-offensive and defensive coordinators work when they're both calling plays? It almost never works. I'm not talking about when one guy's a co-defensive coordinator in name, but the other guy calls the plays. Like LSU has co-offensive coordinators now, but one guy calls the plays. You have to set things up. You have to have an idea what you're doing. There's a reason nobody else does this. Is Hugh Freeze that desperate? If this is year 4 for him or year 3? Year 4, right? Year 3. Year 3. Okay.
3.
If this is the best plan you have come up with in year 3, then by definition you really got to kind of be on the hot seat, because by year 3 you should really be a little bit further along than this, where you got to use 3 quarterbacks and 3 play callers, and you're in the middle of this. Hugh Freeze, I thought, was a really good play caller when he got into the college ranks for the first time. I thought he was creative. When he was at Ole Miss, he gave Nick Saban fits. They did some unique things at the time that he had brought over from the high school ranks in Arkansas, and it all worked. Where's that guy? I mean, I realize that a lot of those concepts that were unique 15 years ago no longer are, but where's that guy? I said the same thing when Gus was there. When Gus gave up play calling responsibilities at Auburn, he relinquished his biggest strength. I thought Gus Malzahn was a pretty good play caller. I thought that Hugh Freeze was a pretty good play caller. But even if I didn't, 3 guys calling the plays for 3 different quarterbacks, what could possibly go wrong?
Next Friday, they're 2.5-point favorites on the road at Baylor. I'm just giving you a sneak peek. That's going to be my 5-pack next week. Baylor. I love Baylor. But
we've been on Baylor since the middle of July.
I mean, that game is fascinating.
Middle of June, maybe.
It's not the biggest game. There are 3 really big games that week. But that game, if Auburn goes down, I mean, the uproar. Auburn's always kind of in uproar, it seems like. But they brought in a lot of talent. There's just too many red flags, though, going on. It's just in vibes, just outside noise.
Something just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's kind of how I would see it. There's another good game that night, that Friday night. I'm trying to remember what it is from
Georgia Tech at Colorado.
That's it. Georgia Tech and Colorado. That's a good, an interesting game because Georgia Tech is a road favorite in that one, if I'm not mistaken. So, hey, look. If I were doing talk radio in Auburn today, it would just be, what are you doing, and what are you doing, and what are you doing? If this works, I will write it down somewhere. We used to call this Blue Book, okay? Write it down somewhere. If this works, I'll apologize. I'll say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. You guys had it all figured out. But this looks like one of the dumbest ideas that I've ever heard. So, crazy ain't took a day off over there in quite some time.
Auburn finished 4th in the AP poll in 1958. Fourth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know who won the national championship that year. Okay. I wasn't there to see it. I wasn't born yet, but I know. Okay, I've done enough of my research there. We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, and the Pierre Part Store. You heard Jimmy talking yesterday about all of the tailgating stuff that he got and all of the outdoor kitchen things that he had gotten. Listen, whether you're talking about crawfish pots or jambalaya pots, all the way up to your big green egg cookers and all of the accessories for your tailgating needs, get them to the Thibodeau Store and the Pierre Part Store. It's a short little drive in either direction, and they're going to give you a little bit of that down home service that you come to expect from the Thibodeau Store. For instance, if you're doing home improvement projects, they're going to walk you through it, make sure you're not wasting time or money. If you got some specific things that you need ordered, they'll be able to help you there. Need lumber delivered, they do that out of the Pierre Part Store. Like Jimmy said, there's a full-service grocery store that is located right there. They do a little bit of everything: power tools, hand tools, fishing equipment. Going to be very happy with what you see. And you can do shopping online at thethibodeaustore.com. A lot of these items are available for delivery. So you're getting ready for football season. Remember the Pierre Part Store and the Thibodeau Store. All right, Brian Kelly is done. We'll have an update on what he said when we return live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, LSU off the practice field, and Brian Kelly has finished up with the media. Max, let's go through this here. What Brian Kelly said after the practice.
Yeah, well, starting with a couple of injury updates, at least from yesterday's practice. Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks both missed practice. We didn't see Harold Perkins at all. He was attending to some personal issues, so no worries there. He was back today.
It's not an injury. It's just a
yes.
Okay.
So Whit Weeks dealing with just load management. They're just being careful with him. Just 2 weeks out
coming
from
up
the
to
game.
surgery. That's no problem.
No reason there. Michael Van Buren had a couple fingers wrapped up on his throwing hand. Apparently hit a helmet on a follow through on a throw. it is just jammed, according to Brian Kelly. So we will see him throw again at practice tomorrow. That's important because they don't have much depth there, but who knows if you need him for a short stint like we saw last year with A.J. Swan. He's apparently going to be good to go for practice tomorrow.
That's what he was brought in for. He is a short-term insurance policy for this year, and then after this year we'll see. But, that's good news that it's not any worse than that.
We talked about the offensive line earlier, and it looks like we have at least 3 jobs that are locked down. Braylon Moore at center, Tyree Adams at left tackle, Josh Thompson, all locking down starting jobs. There's still competition at one of the guard spots, which we expected. We talked about it earlier with Mabenga and G.J. Chester. The right tackle position is still open, according to Brian Kelly. There's still some competition there. Carius Kern took some reps at right tackle. They're trying to push Weston Davis. They're having some competition there. I don't know about you, Charlie. I would kind of take that it's still Weston Davis's job to lose, but it has not been named officially yet.
So this is a good news, bad news thing. The good news is that I've seen enough of Kern, and I've heard enough about Kern, and I've watched what they're doing with Kern enough to know that this is somebody they think very highly of, and it's encouraging that you have a true freshman that is this advanced. Playing the offensive line as a true freshman used to be unheard of. Now you see it a little bit more, but it's still, other than quarterback, I think the toughest position for a true freshman to play. So the fact that Kern is this far along that he's actually pushing for time is good. The bad news is that Davis didn't lock this position down, and we sort of thought he had. And I think that working Kern there is fine because I think he's the third tackle. He's got to play on either side, and you don't want to overload him too much. Bo Bordelon's the other backup right tackle. I like Bo, but he's a little thin. He's got a very long, lean frame, and he reminds me a little bit of Josh Durasic when Durasic was here. I think Bo Bordelon could really help him maybe as a Durasic, when he was at LSU, he was the goal line, one of the goal line tight ends, and then he would actually switch numbers and go in there and play some guard. I think Bordelon could give him some versatility there, but if he was a full-time player right now, he's a little bit, like I said, he's a little bit lean. I was hoping that Davis had kind of locked this down. The fact that there's still a brewing competition at 2 different positions. I knew about left guard. At right tackle, it's a little disconcerting. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's kind of a good news, bad news thing. In a perfect world, Davis had locked that position down. For now, we'll just have to see. Look, maybe one of those guys becomes what I keep going back to Emory Jones. For the first game, Will Campbell had locked down a spot in that starting lineup as a freshman. Took Jones a few games, okay? In fact, I think they got him in. It was either the second or the third game, and then he was really locked in there by the time they got to the end of September, and he's starting to really make an impact. To me, that's Kern, okay? Except in my head, if Davis had locked down the right tackle position, Kern was going to be in there at one of those guards. That's why when they asked me for the predictions, look, whatever this offensive line looks like in Game 1, it could look very different by Game 4 at 2 out of the 5 positions. So we'll hold with that. This has been the concern all through camp. It remains a concern, and it will remain a concern all the way up to game time and through it. So we'll see. Go on.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He just stressed that he's got more depth on the defensive side of the ball than he's had in his first 3 years. We expect some rotation there. They've got real depth there, and that's something he boasted about. Also mentioned wide receivers. He's got more downfield threats, where last year when Thomas went down, they didn't have a whole lot to stretch the field. He mentioned Brown, Aaron Anderson, Jelani Watkins as guys who can do that. And then special teams stressed flipping the field, which is something they have not done very well over his tenure.
The punter is, at least on paper, is better. We'll see. I think LSU can win this game, honestly. It's two things. Big plays, because I don't think they're going to be able to line up and run at Clemson. Even with Clemson's poor rushing attempts from a year ago, poor rushing defense from a year ago, I don't think LSU is just going to be able to go out there and run for 140, 150 yards. I think they'll be able to balance it a little bit, but I think it's going to have to be big plays. And in the fourth quarter pass rush, if this game is inside of a touchdown in the fourth quarter, LSU ought to have fresh legs on the defense. I mean, they really should. They should be able to. Bill Walsh, I can hear him saying it. just like it was yesterday. You can win a game with a pass rush in the fourth quarter. You're more the emphasis is on, well, the quarterback takes them down, but if you got a pass rush, and you got a team in a position where they got to pass, if they're behind or in close quarters and they can't run the football, and I think you're going to have a hard time running the football on LSU, you can win a game with a pass rush. They ought to have fresh legs. I'm probably going to say that a few more times between now and next Saturday. I will speak it into existence, Max, hopefully. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff have done a great job for our family. So if you've got neck pain, if you've got back pain, if you've got muscle soreness, if you've got things that are restricting your motion or keeping you from getting a good night's sleep, let them help you out. They can adjust with you. They can get you into an exercise and stretching program, or they can use a number of techniques to get you to feeling better. Dry needling, electric nerve stimulation, cryo, ultrasound therapy. They've done a great job. Airline Highway, Plank Road, and Jefferson Highway near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. We'll take a break, come back and wrap things up live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And then there was one with the Colts naming their starting quarterback today, Daniel Jones, and the Browns yesterday naming Joe Flacco. Is there anybody that has not named their starting quarterback for this season except for the New Orleans Saints? I think everybody else has decided. I mean, if Matthew Stafford ends up with a bigger injury than what they're saying right now, then but that's for injury. So
we know what the preferences are for the teams, except for the Saints. What do you think the plan is for the third preseason game this weekend? Are they going to play both of them? Each half? Are they still trying to decide? I mean, it still seems like it's open at this point.
I guess. In a, I don't want to say in a perfect world, in a world where you knew who your quarterback was, you'd let Jake Haener play the whole game and probably put him back on the practice squad or cut him afterwards, whatever you wanted to do. But and I don't know if they're going to cut him. I don't know. I guess they're going to split it. I think Rattler's going to end up starting the first game, but
I think so too.
I think that Rattler starts the first game. Shook starts more games than Rattler.
I agree.
Out of 17, but that could change. I mean, their biggest success, both in the games, has been in the second half when nobody that is going to make these teams, most of the guys that are going to make these teams are not playing. So I said this on yesterday. Who else had their projected starting quarterback in the game in the fourth quarter in any preseason game this year? Has there been one? I mean, the Giants didn't have Russell Wilson out there late. I mean, Jackson Dart's played really well, but he's not going to start. I can't think of any. So, I mean, somebody starting quarterback. The Saints starting quarterback is going up against the third. Yeah, that's where they've had their success. Just a guess. Rattler for the opener, Shook for more games.
I kind of agree. I think they want it to be Shook, but maybe he's just not quite ready. They'll let Rattler.
Thanks to the folks at Doe's Eat Place for being our guest today. Tomorrow we are at Snow's in Gonzales. For Jimmy, for Max, Jordan back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN.